Reverse psychology is one of the most intriguing and misunderstood tools in human behavior. It appears simple on the surface, encouraging someone to do the opposite of what you truly want. But beneath that simplicity lies a powerful psychological mechanism grounded in motivation, resistance, autonomy, and emotional manipulation. Across everyday relationships, parenting, marketing, leadership, and even personal development, reverse psychology plays a subtle but influential role. Understanding why it works, how it works, and when it can backfire gives you deep insight into human nature. Why reverse psychology works: the root reactance theory. Reverse psychology operates on a principle called psychological reactance. This theory suggests that when people feel their freedom to choose is threatened, they experience a motivating force that pushes them to restore that freedom. In other words, the moment you tell someone what they must or cannot do, they instinctively desire the opposite. Humans are wired to guard their sense of autonomy. Even a subtle suggestion can provoke resistance if the person feels controlled. Reverse psychology leverages this instinctive pushback. By intentionally recommending the opposite of what you want, you activate the person's desire for freedom, leading them toward the choice you actually prefer. This is why children often insist on touching what they're told not to touch. It's why teenagers rebel when parents tighten rules. It's why adults resist pressure when they sense manipulation. And it's why reverse psychology can flip resistance into compliance. Reverse psychology in childhood, the earliest battleground. One of the most common places where reverse psychology shows up is in parenting. Children have a very strong desire for independence, even though they lack the maturity to manage it fully. When you tell a child, "Don't eat your vegetables," they may suddenly want the vegetables simply to reclaim their sense of power. Parents often use reverse psychology intuitively. "You probably won't want to clean your room today. It's too much work. This book might be too boring for you. Maybe don't read it." These statements shift the dynamic. Instead of pushing the child, the parent withdraws pressure, and the child feels free again, free to choose the opposite. But while reverse psychology can work on children, it must be used carefully. Excessive manipulation can damage trust. Children eventually learn to see through it, and may later use the same behaviors to manipulate others. Adolescence, where reverse psychology explodes. During teenage years, psychological reactance becomes even stronger. Teenagers crave autonomy more than almost any age group. They want independence, identity, and control over their choices. When a parent tells a teen, "Don't talk to that person," or "Don't wear that outfit," it often triggers the exact opposite behavior. Reverse psychology can disarm this tendency. If a teenager refuses to study, a parent might instead say, "You don't have to study right now. It's your future, and you can decide when you're ready." Suddenly, there is no pressure, no battle of wills, and the teen may voluntarily study simply because the decision feels like theirs. Teenagers respond strongly to reverse psychology because their developing sense of identity makes them highly sensitive to control. But again, moderation is key. Used too frequently, reverse psychology becomes obvious and loses effectiveness. Reverse psychology in relationships. In adult romantic relationships, reverse psychology appears more often than people admit. It shows up in subtle emotional behaviors, sometimes intentionally, sometimes unconsciously. Examples include acting like you don't care so that the other person tries harder, pretending to lose interest so they chase, saying maybe you shouldn't come if you're too busy to make them rethink their priorities, suggesting that the relationship may not matter as much, hoping they'll prove otherwise. But while this may work temporarily, it's emotionally risky. Manipulative use of reverse psychology in relationships can cause distrust, confusion, and emotional distance. Healthy relationships rely on communication, not mind games. Yet there is a healthier side. Reverse psychology can help someone rediscover their motivation or make a partner reflect on their commitment. The key difference is intention. Manipulation harms. Gentle strategy can reveal truth. Reverse psychology in leadership and influence. Great leaders often use a refined form of reverse psychology, known as strategic autonomy support. Instead of ordering people around, they give them the illusion of choice. You can choose which task you want to lead. "I'm not sure this project is challenging enough for you. You might actually get bored. Maybe this opportunity isn't right for you unless you want something bigger." These statements subtly influence people to lean toward the desired option while feeling empowered. Leaders who understand the psychology of autonomy build stronger teams. People work harder when they feel ownership of decisions. Reverse psychology, used ethically, can strengthen this effect by reducing resistance and increasing motivation. Reverse psychology in marketing and advertising. Marketers are masters of reverse psychology. They intentionally use scarcity, limitation, and forbidden language to increase desire. Common examples include, "Only a few left, don't miss your chance," "For exclusive members only," "You probably don't need this," "Unless you love premium quality." This offer is too powerful for people who prefer ordinary results. Humans naturally want what feels exclusive, restricted, or challenging to obtain. When something seems forbidden or limited, its perceived value skyrockets. Reverse psychology also appears in branding. Products labeled "not for everyone" suddenly become highly desirable. Ads that say "don't click this" generate more clicks. Phrases like, "You probably won't understand this fragrance unless you're bold enough," create curiosity. Marketers use these techniques because they trigger reactance. People want to prove the opposite. Reverse psychology and social dynamics. Reverse psychology is deeply embedded in social interaction. It appears in competition, attraction, confidence, and persuasion. Examples include: 1. The hard-to-get effect. When someone acts uninterested, aloof, or difficult to win, it increases their perceived value. This is reverse psychology in dating. It triggers pursuit because the person feels their freedom to get, the other is limited. 2. The confidence illusion. Confident people don't beg for attention, they withdraw from it. That withdrawal activates curiosity and attraction. The more something seems unavailable, the more people want it. 3. The rule of opposites. If you encourage someone not to take an opportunity, you might want to wait. Maybe it's not the right time. They begin defending the very opportunity you wanted them to embrace. Reverse psychology on yourself. Surprisingly, reverse psychology doesn't only work on others, it can work on you. If you struggle with motivation, you can use self-directed reverse psychology. Maybe I don't need to exercise today, but if I skip, I'm choosing the weaker version of myself today. I don't have to write anything now. I can stay the same while others grow. If I want to procrastinate, I can, but it means I'm accepting average. By challenging your autonomy, you awaken a desire to take action. Reverse psychology can break mental resistance by shifting focus from pressure to choice. This technique is powerful for discipline, fitness, creativity, and forming habits. When you stop forcing yourself and instead challenge your desire for freedom, your brain naturally pushes you toward the right action. The dark side of reverse psychology. Reverse psychology is powerful, but like all psychological tools, it can be dangerous when misused. 1. Manipulation and mind games. If someone uses reverse psychology solely to control others, it creates toxic dynamics. It damages trust, reduces emotional safety, and leads to resentment once the manipulation is uncovered. 2. Emotional confusion. Reverse psychology can make people question your intentions. If your statements consistently mean the opposite, communication breaks down. 3. Loss of credibility. Once someone realizes you frequently use reverse psychology, your words lose meaning. They no longer trust your suggestions. 4. Backfiring risks. If used on someone who is highly literal, stubborn, or unpredictable, reverse psychology can produce the exact opposite result and reinforce the undesired behavior. When reverse psychology works best. Reverse psychology is most effective when the person is resistant, stubborn, or craving autonomy. They have a strong desire to make their own choices. They are emotionally invested in the outcome. You use it subtly, not aggressively. Your intention is positive, not manipulative. The situation is safe, not emotionally complex. You understand their personality well. Reverse psychology works poorly when the person is highly compliant or eager to please. They depend on you emotionally. They have anxiety or overthink your statements. The relationship requires clarity, not strategy. They already distrust you. Healthy ways to use reverse psychology. Ethical use of reverse psychology focuses on supporting autonomy, rather than manipulating emotion. Here are examples. 1. Encouraging responsibility. Instead of pushing someone to take initiative, "I'm not sure you're ready to handle this project. You might prefer something easier." They may rise to the challenge to prove themselves. 2. Reducing power struggles. When someone resists, "It's okay if you don't want to do it now. You can decide the right time." This removes the fight over control, often leading them to act. 3. Offering freedom. You don't have to choose this path. Explore other options if you feel they're right. This reduces defensiveness and opens reflection. 4. Motivating through challenge. You might find this too difficult. Only people who push their limits try this. Humans love proving they are capable. The subtle art of reverse psychology. Reverse psychology works best when it is invisible. The key is subtlety. If a person realizes you're using it, the effect immediately collapses. The goal is not to manipulate but to create space. Space where pressure dissolves and autonomy grows. The strongest form of reverse psychology is not a trick at all. It is understanding human behavior so deeply that you know how to step back at the right moment. Sometimes the most powerful way to influence someone is to release them. People move toward what feels like their choice. They resist what feels forced. They rebel against pressure. They chase freedom instinctively. Reverse psychology is simply a way of giving someone the freedom they were already fighting for. The real power, freedom. The true power of reverse psychology lies not in control but in liberation. When you remove pressure, people discover their own motivation. When you stop pushing, they step forward. When you stop insisting, they start choosing. When you stop demanding, they begin desiring. Reverse psychology is ultimately a tool for understanding human autonomy. We all want to feel in control of our lives. We all want freedom of choice. When someone threatens that freedom, even unintentionally, we push back. But when someone gives that freedom back, we relax, we open, and we choose what aligns with our true desires. Reverse psychology works not because it manipulates, but because it respects the deepest human need, the need to choose for ourselves.